Hello out there. Welcome Wednesday to Mindset Minutes. My name is Joan Robison, and I have our special guest, industry leader, Christy DeMena. Really excited to have Christy here. I'm going to take just a moment and welcome those of you to our call today. I think you're going to love this call. We're going to talk about how to create action and accountability within your team, and specifically how to partner with team members to gain action and accountability. All right. So I'd love to know where you're all joining in from. Christy and I are going to even maybe do a little role playing and just show you how to really get action and accountability, because I think the biggest thing for most people is you may work with a team member and you think they're going to go and maybe their action steps are follow up, or maybe their action steps are to go do some specific task, and either maybe the homework doesn't get done or you're not quite sure, should I call them? Are they calling me? And it's just really a lack of communication. So what Christy and I are going to help you do today is gain clarity around those results. And we have some 5 steps that are going to be specific to gaining action and accountability. So if you haven't got your pen and paper, take a moment, grab your paper and pen for some notes, because you're in for a real treat. But in the meantime, let's look at where you're calling in from. I'm just wanting to see those of you out there. I'm going to look at my phone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right. Christy, take a minute and share a little bit about yourself. I would love for you to just share with the group and, maybe even talk a little bit about how it felt before you were able to have action and accountability, how some of those calls went.
Well, hello, everybody. And I see we have someone from Texas. We got the UK. Welcome, all of you. I am actually from New Jersey. I've lived here my whole life and can't wait to hopefully move in a couple of years once my kids are done with school. My oldest recently started college and left on Sunday to go back to Phoenix. He's going to the ASU in Tempe, and he's having the time of his life, wishing I was there too. Wishing I had the warmth of Arizona. Granted, it's a little different here. But so talking about action and accountability, when I first started my team, well, as a new leader, you talk to your people, and a lot of times you'll tell them what to do. Say, all right, you're going to go do this, this, and this, and you're like, oh, they're going to do it. They're adults, right? They're going to do the things that I just told them to do. And then it's like, well, you don't hear from them, and you don't know if you should be the one to call them or they're going to call you. So it was a lot of, I guess, up and downs, like a lot of confusion of like, when was it okay to like call them? Like, what was enough days to get the quote unquote homework done? When wasn't it? It's kind of like when you ask your family, like, hey, what are we eating for dinner? And no one gives you an answer. And then you're like, okay, so when can I ask them again if they want to eat? When am I not going to be a nag? And the conversation with my husband today was, and I was cracking up, and he's like, we want our son to take vitamins so that it helps him. He's like, well, I'll just tell him to take the vitamins. I go, oh yeah, you go have fun with that. I said, because yes, you can tell people to do things, but unless there's some sort of action and accountability, like, hey, if I give you these vitamins, when are you going to take them?
Mm-hmm.
Because instead of it being like, here, take these, now what I'm asking him to do is give me the time he's going to take them. So we've gone that one step further. So when you even learn these accountability for your teams, it'll also help you in everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
So even those people that are like indecisive, you'll be able to ask another question to get the answer you're looking for, to get clear on it.
Right. I love it. I love it. Well, let's give Christy a big round of applause. Yay. I love having her here. And I've had the pleasure of partnering with Christy for a number of years. And so her and I have really gotten this down. So we're excited to be able to train. And like I said, welcome to Mindset Minutes. For those of you that are new to the channel, welcome. If I don't know you, again, my name is Joan Robison. And if you are a leader who really is wanting to ignite your own inner brilliance while developing your leadership skills and being able to train your team, then this is the group for you. And by the way, get your teams into this group so they can take advantage of these free trainings as well. All right, today our subject is action and accountability. So I want to just ask, and I'd love for those of you that are listening in the comments, I want you to put a 1 if you've ever felt frustrated when helping a team member where the action that they were going to take never happened. Put a 1 in the comments. So there's a lack of follow through. You spent time, you partnered with them, you worked with them, but gosh, what's going on? There's no homework done. They're not doing it. If you've ever felt that, yep, I'm seeing the 1s come up. So it's a really common occurrence if we don't know how to make it their idea. And I want to go back to what Christy said. She said, as parents, your kids aren't leaving the nest unless you kick them out, right? I mean, they're going to be there till they're 18 unless you boot them. So we often do tell our kids what to do. Hey, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this. And then about those teenagers, we kind of find that, either they give us pushback, they act like they're not listening, or they don't do it at all. And oftentimes, like Christy mentioned, these same skills work with anyone. So whether you have a full-time other job, maybe you're dealing with teenagers, or it's your network marketing team, get ready because you're in for a treat. So here's the deal with action and accountability. First off, I want you to write this down. It's a collaboration. So it's not me telling you what to do, because remember, in network marketing, they're all volunteers. It's me partnering with you and then supporting what you want. And I'm going to show you, and so is Christy, that we have 5 steps that are going to help you be able just to go boom, 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 and have effective calls with your team members. So when I started using this consistently, all of a sudden what I was noticing was the calls that I were doing were uplifting, because pretty soon if somebody isn't doing the work, well, you have to be aware, and that's probably not somebody that needs coaching calls with you. And the other thing is, it's uplifting when it's their idea. Okay. So like I said, I want to give you 5 steps, because what I find is that most people make it harder than it really has to be. So the first step to partnering with team members in action and accountability is, number 1, what is the goal? What is the intention? Or what is the task? So just write down goal, intention, or task. So what I prefer to do is I use a coaching prep sheet. And if you want the coaching prep sheet, write in the comments, I want coaching prep sheet, and we'll get that to you. But the coaching prep sheet allows me to know what we're going to talk about before we ever even get on the call. It requires the team member to have to think, and it allows me a little bit of preparation so that when we get on the call, we're laser focused to that 30-minute call. Okay. So what is the goal? What is the intention? Or what is the task? We have to know what we're aiming to do. All right. Step 2 is getting clear on the steps. All right. So I want to help you a little bit here. We're going to look at the established goals. So I'm going to do this with Christy we're going to do it at the end of the steps. We're going to do a role play. But we're going to just take a scenario and we're going to talk about maybe setting some New Year goals. I mean, why not? We're right in that place. So that's what I'm going to write down is going to be our talking, a role play subject here in just a minute. But I'm going to use that as when I'm talking about number 2, getting clear on the action steps or the steps. So based on that goal, I would begin asking questions like, Christy, what are your first steps? How would we want to break this down? So number 1 is the goal. Number 2 is, what are the steps? We need clarity on the steps. So I want to get her thoughts on how we might prioritize breaking down the goal. Is everybody with me? I want you to put a heart in the comments if you're with me. All right, I'm seeing lots of comments. I love it. And yeah, this is going to be really helpful. So you might also have them write a list of ideas. You know, what are some of the different things that you're committed to implementing to reaching this goal? All right. And then let's go to step 3. Step 3 is, let's establish the commitment level with your team member. Now, this is where your coaching questions come in. So go ahead and write this down. I repeat this so many times, you guys. I feel like a broken record. Christy, what are the open-ended questions? I'm going to let Christy do it. They are
who, what, where, when, and how.
Yeah. Who, what, where, when, and how. So write that down. All your questions with your team members need to be open-ended questions for you to gain information. So if we're talking about checking their commitment level, right? We might want to say something like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how committed are you to this goal? Or we might say something like, let's say that she answers back and she says, I'm an 8. Okay. Let's say she says, I'm an 8. I want to then ask her, what is between the 8 and the 10? What is it that would hold you back from reaching your goal? What could come in between that? All right. I might say something like, considering the goals and the action steps that you identified, how do you see yourself taking daily action? All right. So I'm going to run through the first 2 again. Remember, it's the goal, it's the intention, it's the task. The second thing is breaking down the steps. You're going to ask her questions around that using that who, what, where, when, how. Then the third step is we want to basically establish her commitment level, because I want to know if I got somebody who's a 2 out of 10, guys, come on. I don't think they really want to work toward their goal. Right, Christy?
Correct.
Yeah. So we want to work with people that want to work toward their goal. And what it's going to do is allow that partnership to feel really good instead of you or me or whomever beating their head against the wall and feeling like you're trying to pull someone along or pull teeth, any of those things. All right. So number 4 at this point is where I like to compliment them, show them that I believe in them. Don't forget to give your team members kudos for what they are doing. Sometimes we can get so, involved with, all right, now next step. And we're so in the logical mind that we sometimes forget to go into the heart-centered place. This is what separates leaders from really great leaders. So I want to pause here for a minute, and I want you to think about this. You are going to have a tendency to be a heart-centered leader or a head-centered leader, task-oriented. Just write down on your sheet of paper which one you think you are. They're both great. They're both great. There's no right or wrong. But I'm going to tell you this. If you're a logical head-based leader, Christy's laughing. She'll reveal why in a minute. we know that you've got to evoke the heart, because people can think of you more like she's a taskmaster, right? And she doesn't understand me. On the other hand, for those of you that are heart-centered, you wrote heart-centered down on your notes. If you don't have some logic and tasks, all you're doing is loving people and I love you so much and oh my God, you're great. And woo, come on, you aren't going to get anywhere. So we have to bring balance to our personality, which is we're going to manage our people. That's not the right word. Reject. Take it away. See, even I make mistakes on lives. Okay. We're not going to manage. We're going to balance out heart and head. That's the goal. So you want to be a heart-based leader and that has head knowledge, and we want to balance it. Okay. But everybody has tendency to be one side or the other. All right. So we need to make sure that we acknowledge our team member, that we observe them and compliment what we see. All right. So next step, number 5, is to determine a deadline and a due date. Okay. Write that down. Determine a deadline and a due date. This is really important. As the coach, you are not the chaser. You don't call them and be like, oh, you said 5 o'clock on Tuesday. Where's your homework? Okay, that's what a mother does when her kid doesn't come home at midnight and that was the curfew. Okay, we're not mothering, we're partnering. So at the end, meaning at the end when you say, hey, Christy, Christy, when do you think you could have this done by? Today's Tuesday or Wednesday. When do you think you'd have this done by? And then she tells me Friday you'll see when we do this, how we do it. Okay. So we determine a deadline and a due date, and then you got to stay till the end, right? Right now we're about 15 minutes in. So stay till the end, because I'm going to show you how this very last step is going to seal everything. And you're going to start seeing that not only are you more productive, you're going to be developing more leadership and leaders within your team. And you can tell I'm so excited about this that all my veins are popping out on my neck. But what you're going to be is you're going to love your job again. You're going to love working with people that want to work with you and that have goals. All right. So, Christy, I know that was a big mouthful. You're like sitting here going, yeah, Joan, all right. What would you like to add to any of those before we go into a role play? Because I know you've got a lot of knowledge, Christy, in this area. And, I know you use this method and whatnot. So
that my tip or my advice is do all 5 steps.
Right? In order.
Yes. And what happens is, you get through all of it. And this was me, you look at the last one and it's like, you kind of get I would have gotten angst, like, how am I going? Cause I feel that like I was putting pressure on them, but I wasn't. I was trying to get them to hold themselves accountable to get it done, because this is what they told me in the beginning that they want to do. Uh-huh. So by me not doing the 5th step would defeat them achieving their goal. So even though one step may feel uncomfortable, get through it. All 5 steps must be done in the order in which she told you. Yes. For this to work, for you to love your job again, for you to make this easier. So my advice is no matter what. And, a lot of the times you might be uncomfortable with the step, and that's fine because you're learning it and teaching it at the same time.
Exactly. And what do we do, guys? What do we know? We're just going to practice. Gosh, you wouldn't believe how many people I work with. They're so hard on themselves. They're like, I'm never going to get the skill, Joan, or gosh, you seem to do that skill fairly easy. Well, guys, I've been practicing these things for 20 some years and I've only gotten better, and still I practice every day. I'm learning and making, I guess we could say, mistakes. I don't ever look at failure and mistakes. I look at practice means progress. Practice means I'm getting a little bit better every day at whatever skill I'm doing. All right, I want to make one thing. Make a note right now. This is really important, guys. If you hear that your team member says things like, I'll try, I might, well, I could, or I want to, that has to come back to they have a lack of commitment. So you don't want to let them stay there. And if for whatever reason you have to revisit what the task, the goal, or the action step is, in other words, if they say, well, I'm going to try and get it done by then, I would say, let's not try, let's do, but do we need to establish a different due date to allow you more time? You tell me, Christy, and then we go there, because I want someone to feel as though they've got enough time. I want them to feel comfortable. Even if they're afraid, we still want to get that committed due date so that there's no questions. Because remember, guys, it's their goal. It's not Joan's goal. Okay, so let's go through this, Christy, just for the fun of it. I'm going to put all my little notes aside. I had a few notes because there were a few things that I didn't want to miss. So I'm going to be the coach. Christy's the coachee. So I got a coaching sheet from her. Let's pretend. All right. And gosh, Christy, I am so excited to talk with you about your 2023 goals. And I saw here that you've got some sales goals and some recruiting goals, but you've also got some developing leader goals. Which area do you want to start with?
I think developing leaders would probably be best to start with.
Okay, developing leaders. All right, so how many leaders do you want? Let's just talk first quarter. Let's talk the first 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
How many leaders do you want to develop? And let's say that's that first level in your comp plan. What are you thinking?
Anywhere from 2 to 3.
Okay. 2 to 3 leaders. Okay. So I want to make sure that I'm clear here now. So we're looking at 2 to 3 leaders at that first level in your comp plan.
Mm-hmm.
And let's talk a little bit about what would be some of the steps that you're going to take, some of the action around developing these leaders.
Well, first, I want to make sure that I build a really good relationship with them.
Okay.
And I want to get clear on what they want first.
Okay.
You know, like I know I want them to be leaders and to go there, but I have to first make sure I know what it is they want first before I put my goal onto them.
Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is you're going to be building connections. Is that within your team or outside of your team, or both?
Both.
Okay. So building connections inside and outside. And just, you know how I am, Christy, about questions. What would that look like? How are you going to do that?
So if it were with my team, I would try to come up with something consistent that I could do, whether it's having a meeting or, you know, make some phone calls just to say, hey, or leave voice messages like, how are you doing?
Okay. So making a connection through maybe a consistent meeting per week. It could even be 15, 20 minutes, making phone calls. And I'm assuming, just because I know you, you might be doing some invitations to, hey, I'm going to partner with you, or I'm looking for a few more people to partner with. Okay. And then what are some of the other things you're going to do? Maybe now let's look outside your team.
So I'm going to start building relationship with possible recruits.
Okay.
You know, start sending them messages, start planting the seed of, you know, have they ever thought about doing what I do? You know, just try to get something out there.
Yeah. So let me understand this. So I'm hearing you say that you're going to be doing like basically some prospecting. Maybe you're making posts that are business posts. You're going to see people that are interested. What are some of the other specific actions outside the team that you would do? Do you have a lead list, or do you have people that you, or groups that you would join? What are some of the things you might?
If I really want to challenge myself, I would put a chicken list together.
Okay.
The people that I would probably start, looking at what interests me to go find the groups.
Okay.
Like for instance, like maybe an empty nesters group.
Okay.
Or I know my son goes to ASU, so maybe I would start joining those groups.
Okay, some mother groups or people that are in the same. I love this, Christy. This is good because oftentimes the scenario that we're in, we find comfort in some of those same groups, and I love that. Like empty nesters, she said. Groups at ASU, and gosh, ASU, I still believe is like the biggest college in the United States. So what a great place to meet some gals. All right. Or men, right? Okay. And then a chicken list. I love that. Are you open to a few suggestions on just some thoughts?
Yes.
Around outside the group? Okay. Have you ever thought about even just having like 2 a day? Like no matter what, you're doing 2 reach outs a day. Just something real simple that you could do in your daily DMOs.
2 a day? I don't know if I'm comfortable with that.
Okay. What would you be comfortable with?
Maybe a couple a week.
Okay. What, if you were to do that, what would that look like?
For me, I'd probably have to plan when I was going to do it and put together the list of who I would do. And then know what to say.
Okay. All right. So if I was to help you with the plan on that, would you be wanting to lean into that so that you could get leads outside of your group?
Yes, because I really don't know where to go with that. Like,
Okay.
I don't have a strategy of what day I would do it or how many. I haven't really thought about that. It kind of scares me a little bit. It's kind of out of my comfort zone.
All right. I'm going to put this down as, again, we're just getting clear on these action steps, and then you and I can come back and revisit some of these things. All right. So the fact that I want to bring you back to your goal, 2 to 3 leaders. We're going to look inside your team. We're also going to look outside your team. Now, how committed are you to taking action on some of these steps that you suggested and the possibilities of some of the things I thought about?
I'm probably an 8.
Okay. So notice, guys, I'm going to go off the role play a minute. Christy already knows, like I didn't say scale of 1 to 10 because she already knows, but let's just still run with this. So, all right. So the question would be, on a scale of 1 to 10, how committed? Christy says an 8. So I say, Christy, what's that 2 between the 8 and 10? What is it that could possibly hold you up from taking action around these steps that you had mentioned to me?
Probably just being a little uncomfortable, a little bit of an overthinker. It's pushing me to do things that is kind of like not unknown, but just like I don't like, what's the word I'm looking for?
Well, out of the comfort zone. I mean, right?
Yeah, just uncomfortable because I don't know what the other person's going to say. So I don't want, like, if they say no, like, yeah, no, thanks. Like if I have a leader that I would love to partner with and they're like, yeah, no, I'm not into it.
Yeah.
Like,
so,
how it would make me feel that I'm so excited, but yet they're not.
Right. So it sounds like between the 8 and the 10 is some discomfort. It's just really some limiting beliefs that could be holding you back. Is that correct?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay. If I were to help you with those limiting beliefs, maybe we had like a plan where when you start going into that, you immediately message me, or we set up something that could help you break through that. Are you open to something like that?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right. The last thing that I really want to know is let's establish 2 or 3 things that you want to do between now and our next call. So, what would be those 2 or 3 things that you want to do that you know for sure? And one of them could be getting with me to establish, some of those things we talked about. If you want to do that, or you might have your own things. What would those things be?
I guess I would have to decide which I would do first. Would I start reaching out to people outside of my team, or do I start to talk to the leaders first? I guess I'd have to decide which direction I want to go in.
So what I want to challenge you really around is, I think that you already mentioned first in my notes that you were going to go within your team. So I think, would you be willing then this week to go within the team? All right. So I'm going to write that down. So you're going to do some reach outs and invites within the team to find out where they are. And if they want to maybe, take their business to the next level. Okay. All right. What's the second thing you would do this week?
If they are up for meeting, like, or into wanting to do that, then I would probably set up a call and get them on the phone to hear what their goals would be.
Good. So we're going to invite within the team this week. We're going to set up a call or a Zoom. All right. And then what would be the third thing you want to accomplish this week?
Finding out if they're on board. So like to do it, like to get a commitment from them, I guess would be the third thing.
But wouldn't that, let me understand this. Wouldn't that be in the number 1 in the invite? Because you would know, right? If they weren't going to want to do it. Don't you think in the invite process, you're going to know?
I guess.
They probably aren't going to set up a call with you if they don't want to take their business to the next level, right?
Right. So yeah. So then it would be. Let me think.
Let me repeat what I got down here. So I got the first thing you're going to do is invite from within the team. The next thing you're going to do is set up a call with those that say yes, they want it. And then what's one other thing, and it doesn't need to be around that. It could be what's one other thing you want to do according to, getting those team leaders inside, outside, building connection.
Maybe set up a call with you to set up a strategy to talk with people, to be able to come up with how many people I will reach out to per day or per week.
Okay, good. All right. So strategy call there. All right. Now, what day? Let's just do this first. I've got a couple days available, blah, 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 blah. Okay, guys. So you hear that. And I look in my calendar and I say, okay, Christy, I could either do it this coming Tuesday in the morning or afternoon. What works for you? If she says yes or no, whatever, but it could be, just go ahead with it. Let's say you like Tuesday.
Tuesday afternoon.
Okay, so I could do 1 or 2 Eastern. What's best for you?
1.
Okay, 1 o'clock. All right, I'm going to write that down. 1 o'clock Eastern. I got it in my calendar. You have it in yours?
Yep.
All right, good. And then when do you feel that you would be able to make your calls or reach outs to invite within the team? When could you start doing that?
I could probably plan that either tomorrow morning which is what, Thursday morning or Friday morning.
Okay, so let me make sure what I've got here. So I've got here that you could start making the invites Thursday morning. So that's tomorrow. And that is the 12th. And then you're going to set up a call. Well, we're going to do it this coming Tuesday. That's just facetious, guys. I would do it sooner, as soon as I could get with her because she's ready to roll. Okay. So here's a couple clues. Urgency is key. Christy says, yes, I don't want to let this go a week. I want to get her on my calendar right now to support her to her goal because she's ready to roll. All right. Now, okay, Christy, so we've got those dates. Once you get finished with your tasks on Thursday, how about you reaching back out to me and giving me a thumbs up or letting me know how it went?
Mhm.
And then, of course, I'm going to see you on our next call. How's that sound to you?
That sounds good.
Okay, great. All right. Okay. So, guys, notice that in that 15 minutes, I went through step 1, the goal. Step 2, what were some of the options, right? What were some of the steps she could take? Step 3, her commitment level. Step 4, complimented her. Great job, woohoo. And then step 5, the deadline. Now, here's what I want to show you guys. Just so you know, I take notes all over the place. All right. And what I would do with these notes, and I write everything down, and then I go to my calendar and put everything in there. I take these notes and I either put them in a Christy little file or I keep them where I can access them easily on our next call. Okay. And then I say to Christy, I'm really proud of you. This was awesome. And you know what? I have no doubt in my mind that you're going to reach your goal. And we'll get some specifics on the strategy on our next call. If I have time, I might do it on this call, guys. Okay. So, Christy, how did that feel to you? Now we're not in a role play, but how did that feel to you?
No, that was good. It takes the pressure off of when you ask it like that. You know what I mean? Like just plain and simple, as if it's nothing.
Right. And because guys, notice I'm not telling Christy what to do. I'm asking her using who, what, where, when, and how. So if you can make it all about them all the time, you're going to take the pressure off of you, like Christy just mentioned. Christy, do you have any scenario that you would want to share with the group where this has, maybe it didn't work in the beginning, but then as you got more skilled in these areas that it did work?
Yes. So the first thing I do want to say is when Joan talks about giving you those 2 times, if you have someone who's indecisive, or you'd be like, hey, what time would you like to meet? And then they're like constantly going through it. Those were some of my mistakes.
Like
is not having the time. Yeah.
So like having a really broad calendar. Okay, guys, this is so, Christy, I'm so glad you brought this up because I might have overlooked it. Guys, offer times in the next 24 hours or 48 hours when someone says yes. And if you're already coaching with them, you want to make sure that these action steps are done by the next call. And also to Christy's point, never get off a coaching call with somebody that you're working with without scheduling the next call, right? Otherwise, you're wasting time going back and forth on schedules. All right.
Yes, I've made those mistakes. And the one thing that I do like that you do is you ask for the coaching sheet the night before. And if they don't get it to you, then you don't have a call.
We don't have a call. Right. I love that you mentioned that. So Christy's giving you guys such valuable tips. So ask for the coaching sheet prior to the call. Remember, I mentioned you've got that person having to pause and think about it. This is so you don't get on the phone or a Zoom call and spend 15 minutes bullshitting and, all about who knows what. Sorry, I swear once in a while, but here's the deal. You want to have that coaching call laser focused on what she wants. Trust me, she'll get back on the phone with you every single time if that phone call adds value. Right, Christy?
That was the next thing I was going to say.
Okay, what is it?
If you're going to say that the call is 30 minutes, make it 30 minutes. That is a mistake of mine, where if you don't ask for the coaching sheet, you get on the call and you do start chatting about nothing. Like you just get on and it's almost like when you do this, you're establishing what you want. So if you want to be able to coach and you want to do it in the 30 minutes, you have to establish the boundaries, because if there are no boundaries, then you're really not going to enjoy the coaching, because it's going to be longer than you want it to be.
Right.
So having the coaching sheet ahead of time establishes them getting it to you, and you not asking, "Hey, are we meeting tomorrow?" No.
Right.
And you don't have to remember. Remember, this is on them. They have
Right.
to remember. So if
Exactly.
they don't send it, it's not, you don't have to remember. They do.
Right.
That's the best part about this. This is where it's not stressful.
Right.
And
So
go ahead.
no, I just want to add to what you're saying. What Christy is saying about it's on them. See, you're guiding and leading your team members, but the action and accountability, it's not like a mom worried about her kid doing the homework. Okay? And really this works with kids too, right? The homework should be on them, even though we all feel like it was on us at one point or another, let's be honest. But this needs to be established where, remember, I don't know if you guys noticed, I said, Christy, how does this feel to you? It feels great. Is there anything that would come in between it? She said, yeah, it could be this. So I said, well, what if we address that? Would you want that? She said, yes. Do you see this, guys? All right. So there are a few different little tips and things that you'll learn along the way, because you've got to just do it in order to get better and better at it. But I want to just right now, as we wrap up this call, I want to thank Christy, and then I'm going to turn it back over to you, Christy, right now for any last thoughts and words.
So the one thing is, Pamela has a question, and it's a good one.
Yeah.
And she says, when they don't send the coaching sheet, no call, do you wait for them to contact you again? Well, okay. Go ahead, Johnny. I'll let you answer that one.
No, you go ahead, because go first and then I'll go.
So this is where I'm sure, Pamela, maybe you're feeling uncomfortable. It's like, oh, well, then you feel that it's put back on you. So Pamela, I'm going to put it back on you. How long do you think you should wait to contact them? Because in my eyes, you should contact them and let them know that they did miss. But how long would you wait, Pamela, to contact them? How long would it feel? How long would you wait for you to feel okay to contact them? I hope she's still on. Because this is where the coaching comes in. So
it does. So I'm going to give you guys this is my rule of thumb, and I had to establish this when I had, on occasion, very rare occasion, because I've tightened it up so tight, people don't no-show me anymore. And if they can't get their homework done, often they'll write me a note. So this was in my notes also, and I didn't get to it. Assume the best of every team member. So always assume that something must have come up, because you don't know what's going on the other end. Here's what my rule of thumb. If I work with somebody on a regular basis and they've always been to the calls, they've not rarely missed, then I'm going to reach out to them right away and be like, hey, I might even reach out to them like, hey, I'm on the Zoom. Are you coming? Because I know that they're not normally missing. All right. If it's somebody that's more of a newer relationship or somebody that I know has had some challenges, I may let that go for a while. And then, as Christy said, I might reach out. Remember, these are team members. Okay. So I might reach out and say, hey, I was on the call. Is everything okay? Here's my rule of thumb. I said that 3 times. It's 3 strikes and you're out. So if somebody does not show one time, even no matter what the excuse is, if it happens again, even no matter what the reason is, and then it happens again, now we're seeing a pattern. So mine would be to them, hey guys, or not guys, it would be, hey, Christy, listen, I feel like I just looked back at some notes and this is the 3rd call you've missed. you know, I truly care about you, but I think we may want to revisit partnering together when you're in a better place. And if there's something that I can do to support you, why gosh, reach out and let me know. But right now, I think that we need to move forward until that goal or whatever it is we're working on, whatever your intention is, means more to you. See, I don't ever have to feel awkward. I don't ever have to feel like I'm not doing my part. And the last thing, this is going long, you guys, but it's so important. The last thing I want to say is that when you begin working with somebody, if you establish expectations, right? This is what I expect from my coachees or from my team members when we're going to do a 3-month committed partnership. That's how I like to coach people. And you might want to tell me or ask me any questions right now as well. You might want to ask me. So it's kind of like, here's what I expect from you, and here's what you can expect from me. And then, does that work for you? At this point is where we're saying we have deadlines. You know, we're going to have action steps. Are you on board? Right? Christy, anything else?
No, I think that's it. But I do want to stress, like, when you heard Joan get back to the person to tell them, like, hey, I don't know if this is going to work out, she says it in a way that gives the other person grace. She's not judging them. You know, there's no emotional connection, like that, you know, the person didn't show up, like, you know, or whatever. Like it has, and that's it. It's like that emotion part is out of it. And you know that. Yeah, like it has nothing to do with you. They're not showing up because they can't get their things together. It has nothing to do with that. You're a bad coach, a good coach, whatever it is, you know, like, and if you can replay this, write it down. Go back and write word for word what she said. Because for someone like me who has a hard time talking to people when it's like pulling it away, in a sense, those words help. So once you use her words, you can eventually get comfortable and establish your own, just to get over it. And that's just me talking, because it's things can be uncomfortable. Like Joan's done this forever, and I've been the one to say to her, how the heck do you get up with those questions? And all of this is practice. If you don't practice, you can't have progress. And you've got to just, hey, your first coaching call is going to be like,
going to be a little awkward, right?
It will. But when you practice, oh my goodness, like the questions are going to roll off. You're going to know exactly where to go. You're going to have everything established. But if you don't practice, you won't know what you want to establish.
All right. I love it. Christy, first off, what I want to say is you are an amazing coach. You have helped so many people, known and probably unknown, with the skills that you've practiced. And guys, I don't know, 3-4 years ago when Christy started in this process, she really is saying what she felt. She was very uncomfortable, to now she'll give me a call and she'll say something to me. I'm like, wait, what'd you say? That's a really good thing. You know, I take notes, right? So really good stuff. Last thing I want to say is if there's somebody out there and you need support around these skills, I'm going to drop my Book with Joan link. You can book with me and get in for a strategy call, and we'll see what we can do to support you and your team members. And I want to again thank everybody for joining in today. Thank my lovely guest, Christy. And then I want to remind you, going forward, every Monday, we've got morning motivation. And on morning motivation, that is where we really claim an empowering mindset. We do some breathing exercises and get you squared away for the week ahead. All right. Get you in a really good place, igniting your own light, letting go of fears, letting go of limiting beliefs. And then, of course, every Wednesday at 12 Mountain, we've got our mindset minutes here. You'll continue to see some really, specific leader trainings. And if you have a topic you want covered, drop it today in the comments so that I can come back and answer you and see more of what you want. And we've got one winner. I almost got ahead of myself. We've got a winner today for the Flip the Switch book, and that winner is Mariana Scott. You have won Flip the Switch book. Mariana, we will be reaching out to you in instant messenger, and my assistant, Cappy, will reach out. It'll either come from me or Cappy. So congratulations, and thank you all for being here today. All right, guys, have a great day. Bye-bye.